Imagine all the worst things in the world all in one place and marketed to kids. This is a platform that's worth nearly $100 billion. It has more monthly active users than the entire US population. It is nothing more than a Black Mirror episode on late stage capitalism, propped up by bootleg games, blatant copyright infringement, public bathroom simulators, advertising, and, oh, who would have guessed, gambling psychology. Oh, and that's right, they're now going through their 6th lawsuit this year from allegations of child abduction stemming from the platform. If you guys want to know what investors think the future of gaming looks like, look no further than their crown jewel. Nothing but a display of exploitation, greed, and some of the worst traits of humanity. And I don't say that lightly, by the way. You know, I went into this knowing absolutely nothing. And within minutes of me going onto the platform, I just sat there shocked. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And the funny thing is, I'm not even talking about the predators. I'm just talking about everything Roblox is doing to the future of the hobby and to the kids. Today, we're going to be talking about the most dangerous game in the industry, how it took over, its controversies, why anybody in gaming should be paying attention to this, and why I believe that this multi-billion-dollar company is nothing more than a house of cards. I think that most people, myself included, have little to no idea what Roblox actually is beyond being that game that kids play. I've always treated it like hearing the name Coco Melon or some modern cartoon, something that I would never engage with. It's probably just disposable entertainment meant to keep kids busy, and I never really thought about it past that. Most of its content lives and dies in YouTube Kids and TikTok algorithms anyway, so there's no reason that I'd ever come across it. I've always known of Roblox. I think that it's impossible not to at this point. My nephew played it. I remember its stock was surging during the pandemic, and then it fell off during lockdowns, and now I hear it's on a comeback yet again. And I even saw some strange headline about the CEO wanting to add dating features to the platform, which struck me as odd because I had always assumed that it was only for kids. But it wasn't until recently that I started seeing videos pop up on YouTube where investigators were trying to expose predators that were using the platform to target children that I finally started to pay attention to it. And the more that I looked into it, the more I started bouncing between shock and confusion of how this platform is even allowed to exist. Out of morbid curiosity, I wanted to see what this platform actually was, and I downloaded it, and I opened its front page, and I was struck by how much unlicensed content is just sitting in plain sight. I saw Dragon Soul, which uses Dragon Ball Z characters, All-Star Tower Defense, featuring characters from Bleach, Dragon Ball, and Jujutsu Kaisen. These games have hundreds of millions, sometimes billions of plays with tens of thousands of active users at any given moment. The deeper I dug, the worse it got. A prison escape simulator starring a distorted and fat Sonic, a game called Star Quest 64, which lifts assets directly from Super Mario 64, graphics, sound effects, and even enemy designs. Many of these titles are trending on the front page, racking up tens of millions of plays and making up a huge part of this platform's library. While Roblox has faced DMCA strikes before with some Nintendo-related content being taken down, the sheer volume of unlicensed games shows just how little moderation this platform has, and that lack of enforcement is benefiting both this platform and the developers that are making money from these games. I mean, you can find entire pages of games cloning either major franchises or recent indie hits. There's a one-to-one recreation of Peak that's called Climb, a suspiciously similar version of Repo that's called Erpo. I mean, at this point, it doesn't even feel like these developers are even trying to hide it, and it's hard to believe that the platform itself even cares. The creators of Peak were aware of the copy made of their game, and they tweeted out saying, "To be honest, would rather you pirate our game instead of play this microtransaction-riddled Roblox slop ripoff." To be honest with you, microtransaction-related slop is the best description for this entire platform. I loaded up a couple of games just to check out and see what they were actually like, and it felt like I was sitting down at a slot machine in Vegas. Bright, bold, colorful UIs, dollar signs everywhere, interact with anything, and the game is immediately asking you for money. In most cases, there's barely even any gameplay, no real loop, no meaningful goal of any sort, just funnels designed to get kids to spend money on random objects, outfits, or in-game currencies. You pay to unlock items, you pay to earn more money, you pay to just keep playing. In most cases, you just keep paying to just pay more. Almost every single mechanic is monetized more aggressively than your average gacha game. I mean, it's to the point where modern live service titles look saintly by comparison. Guys, I've spent the last year complaining about where this industry is headed, gutted gameplay, monetization that's pushed to the forefront, every action that's tied to a purpose, and I didn't realize that it already happened. I mean, the only reason that this has flown under the radar is because it's happening to kids, and anybody that's going to be old enough to notice isn't going to see it because they're not playing these games. And in a lot of cases, the kids, well, their parents don't really care about what they're playing. I don't even know where to begin with how predatory this platform is. It is so blatant, obvious, and predictable that it would make Dr. Evil blush. I watched a YouTube video that was titled, "I Spent 24 Hours with Roblox Millionaires," and after hearing these developers talk about their games, it became clear that this has nothing to do with entertainment, nothing to do with artistry. Hell, it doesn't even have anything to do with gaming. It is purely about the monetization funnel. It's like hearing people talk about NFTs, crypto, or Web3. It is so damn dystopian. Their model is simple: use a YouTube-style algorithm and clickbait thumbnails to get kids in the door, overstimulate them within the first few minutes, and then start monetizing everything in sight. Every mechanic, every feature, every action, all of it is designed to shorten the gap between loading the game and spending money, preying on their impulsive behavior and the fact that these kids have no financial literacy. They'll be buying something so pointless and then just moving on to the next game within minutes, and very few of these experiences on the platform are even trying to hold people's attention for anything more than a half hour. And would you believe it, they even took it a step further by monetizing attention itself, adding in pop-up video ads that market products to kids with rewards tied to how long they watch. They've even built in fully interactive games that are sponsored by Walmart and other major brands. The entire time, I just kept getting flashbacks to that Black Mirror episode where they forced all those people to ride on stationary bikes to generate electricity for the elites, feeding them ads, tempting them with products, and trying to keep them busy so they never actually reach their goal. I mean, in most cases, I couldn't even figure out what the point of some of these games even was, or even if they were games in the first place. Few of them actually had clear loops. Many of them just felt deliberately frustrating, like they were trying to just exist to push players towards spending on something new. But outside of that, most of them just felt like digital chat rooms, and that's where things got dark. Once I realized that Roblox's real function was as a social space, a metaverse, if you will, I started noticing some really disturbing patterns. I'll be honest with you guys, this is where it really got fucked up, because not only is it the monetization being used as a status symbol, they're trying to get these players to want to buy these outfits and items to make themselves look cool in front of other players or put their names up on a leaderboard. What's really bothersome is the kind of spaces that are being offered, because browsing the hangout and social categories, I came across some titles like Hug Simulator or various public bathroom simulators with thumbnails showing embarrassed or shocked girls standing next to confident-looking boys, pinning them up against a wall. One game was called 17 Plus Bathroom Hangout, complete with dark pink romantic lighting telling people they can dance inside. Another one is called Bilberry City RP, and it had a thumbnail of a girl passed out on a hotel bed, and another one where she's doing the splits on a yoga ball. It carried a minimal maturity rating. It had over 1,200 active players and more than 250 million visits, all with no visible moderation. How is something like this allowed to exist, and what kind of disgusting individual is making these kind of games? These spaces are explicitly sexual in nature, and there's no getting around that. This is a platform that is primarily used by children, and the existence of these games raises some serious safety concerns, because while it might be kids that are playing them, they're also open to adults, and the only reason that adults would be there is for the worst reasons imaginable, and that's not hypothetical. This past April, a 10-year-old girl from California was allegedly abducted by somebody that she met on Roblox, and she was taken hundreds of miles away from her home before the suspect was finally caught in a statewide manhunt. The family is now suing Roblox, and news outlets have finally started to warn parents, calling the platform a hunting ground for predators, and it's not even the first lawsuit this year. CBS News reported this story begins and ends at the California state capitol, but it impacts kids nationwide. A 10-year-old Southern California girl was allegedly kidnapped by a man she met on Roblox, particularly popular among preteens. Police found her hundreds of miles away at a strip mall near the man's home in the city of Elk Grove, just south of Sacramento. This week, the girl's family filed a lawsuit in the San Francisco Bay Area where Roblox is located. The lawsuit also names Discord, a third-party messaging app, where the man was accused of communicating with the girl. This is at least the sixth civil lawsuit that is filed against Roblox just this year on behalf of children who are allegedly groomed or exploited by adults on the gaming platform. 6 times in 1 year. What is this? No wonder governments are trying to strip away our privacy and our digital anonymity. These platforms have shown that they don't care anything about the safety of their users or the legitimacy of the content that they host. These problems would be solved almost instantly with even just a single level of content moderation, but their priority is only profit. They have taken one look at the idea of corporate social responsibility, the notion that a company has duties beyond making money, and they just laughed at it. Who cares about the social impact? Who cares about the harm? Build something lawless, corrupt, and disgusting, aim it at kids because they don't know any better, and then rake in the cash before the ship hits the rocks. I feel like I owe the rest of the games industry a public apology for criticizing their practices, because that's just how bad Roblox is. I'm not, because their practices are the Charmander to Roblox's Charizard, and they'll evolve eventually. And by not supporting them and also speaking out against them, we're hitting the B button on that evolution screen. But I've never seen anything like this before. I'm beyond disgusted. I don't even know how to really react to it. Everything on their platform is every modern gamer's worst nightmare. You know, I know some people are going to say that this is the responsibility of parents. True. I mean, this platform is largely supported by the fact that people are just blindly handing over Roblox or Robux or whatever they want to call it. But in my eyes, this is no different than going in for a checkup and walking out missing a kidney. Companies have a responsibility to not be this predatory or not allow this kind of content or just have any moderation whatsoever. But, I mean, nothing is more unassuming than children's content. Most parents are not going to expect anything because they're just going to look at it. They're going to see some goofy graphics and some mindless fun, and that's just about it. But beneath that, it's a lot darker. You know, it's wild to see that we live in a time in which activists and payment processors are going after legal, properly labeled adult content on Steam, but are turning a blind eye to blatant exploitation, hosting stolen content, spaces that are putting kids in harm's way. Maybe that's because Itch and Steam aren't publicly traded and Roblox is. That's probably it right there. You know, with that video that I made the other day talking about everything that's going on with Gen Z, I think that it's pretty obvious by now that the people that are in power, the people that are running a lot of these companies, are trying to do their best to build an economy that exploits the future generations that we have for short-term profit. They're only thinking about what's left of their lifespans and how they can basically destroy the lives of these kids just to be able to, you know, live comfortably for another 10 to 20 years, which is just so gross to me, man. And they're targeting them before they can even try to make any sort of informed decision, especially with money. And I think what's even more disgusting is how far these guys will go to protect it. This whole rabbit hole started because I came across a content creator named Schlepp who had basically turned into Batman as he got older after being a victim on Roblox himself. He had worked with authorities to help track down and arrest 6 alleged predators off of the platform. And after everything that he's done, protecting others and working with law enforcement, Roblox banned all of his accounts, blocked his IP, and then sent him a cease and desist threatening legal action. A multi-billion-dollar company backed by major investment firms going after a 22-year-old trying to keep kids safe. The cease and desist more or less just painted him as a perpetrator of the exact behavior that he was trying to stop, claiming that he was initiating and taking inappropriate conversations off platform. Instead of protecting their users, these guys are trying to protect themselves. And the minute that I saw that, the only thing that I could think to do was to make this video, spread the word, and make sure that people understand just how dangerous and exploitative this place can be, because I know that this is going to probably put me in the crosshairs of this company, but the safety of future generations means a hell of a lot more to me than my own financial well-being. I mean, I've spent years now, or at least the last year, on this channel just talking about bad business practices, bad games, and the erosion of consumer rights, and it would be downright negligent of me to ignore something like this. Roblox is exactly what I've been warning about. This is the end result of the industry's worst habits and where they lead to. This should be treated like a case study for how far things can go if nobody steps in. I mean, from my perspective, this is a company that is interested in nothing but squeezing as much money as possible out of its audience with almost no meaningful moderation and a lack of oversight that has pulled in people that are more than happy to use this platform for their own purposes. Look at how most of the content, look at how most of the games that are made on this platform, look at how they're monetized and presented. They use the same clickbait tactics as YouTube to pull players in. They front load the engagement to be able to keep them there for at least a little while, and then they build these social hierarchies out of vanity items and cosmetics, and they just monetize anything that isn't nailed down. I know that there is some genuinely fun and creative content that is on Roblox, but because of how this system is built and how the monetization works, the overwhelming majority of the design that you see in these games is to take advantage of whoever's playing. And while I'm disgusted by it, I don't believe that it can or will last forever. I mean, guys, this is not some scrappy startup that's running out of a garage. Roblox is one of the most valuable gaming companies on earth right now. They're worth close to $100 billion. They're sitting on the S&P 500 alongside tech giants. These guys are almost worth as much as Nintendo. What the fuck is going on right now? They're making investors salivate at the mouth because all their growth charts are pointing up and to the right. On paper, this is the kind of company that's going to make Wall Street have wet dreams, massive user bases, endless engagement, low development overhead because these guys aren't paying for any of the content that's being made, and the monetization systems are turning digital items into gold. But the deeper you look into it, the more it starts to feel like this is a house of cards. The platform is being propped up by unlicensed games, predatory monetization that's aimed at kids, and almost a complete lack of any meaningful oversight or moderation. If Roblox were forced to actually moderate every asset, texture, or game for copyright compliance, or if they had to do any meaningful policing of their content or social spaces where a lot of these lawsuits are coming from, it would hit the brakes on their content flow so hard that it would just crater their entire growth. And that's the problem for these guys because their scale only works right now because they're not paying for the costs of running it responsibly. I mean, I don't know, guys. I just don't really get it. Either these investors don't understand it or they just don't care. They see that $100 billion valuation and they probably think this company's untouchable. But if you strip away the stolen IP, the games that are designed entirely as microtransaction funnels for kids and social spaces that are now doubling as lawsuit liabilities, what's going to be left of that company? A smaller, slower, more expensive business that I would imagine probably doesn't look nearly as exciting on the stock market. And honestly, that's why I think these guys are going to keep running it exactly like they are right now until they're forced to stop, until a wave of lawsuits comes and hits them all at once, or a regulatory body finally decides to treat them like any other multi-billion-dollar company that's dealing with minors. Because right now, Roblox is operating in this weird in-between space where they're officially a platform, so they get to dodge the responsibilities of a publisher, but they're public enough to be able to soak up all of that investor money all at once. The irony is this is exactly what a lot of big publishers wish that they could get away with. Build nothing yourself. Let other people take all of the risks and do all of the work. Let them build the audience, then just monetize their work harder and harder than they ever could. And if Roblox is getting away with it right now, it's just going to become a blueprint for how to scale a gaming company without actually making any games. Just provide the stage, rake in the cash, and then pretend like you're too big to be responsible for whatever comes from it. And if that blueprint spreads, this industry is going to be in trouble because more companies are going to realize that they can make money this way, and there's going to be less incentive for these guys to build the kind of games that actually make gaming worth caring about in the first place. I think the scariest part about all of this is that Roblox has already normalized this for an entire generation. For the kids that are growing up on this platform, this is not a weird outlier. Not like it is for us. This is gaming. This is the standard. Games where you don't own anything that you buy, games that bleed you dry in the first half hour, games that are putting you in danger the minute that you log in. And when these kids get older, when they start spending their own money, they're going to walk into the wider gaming industry and think that this is just how it works. I think that's the long-term danger that nobody talks about. We've spent years fighting loot boxes, pay-to-win mechanics, aggressive monetization, and live service titles, and Roblox has been quietly baking those ideas into the brains of kids at a scale that the rest of the industry could only dream of. If you think publishers are bad now, just wait till they realize that the next wave of customers has already been trained to hand over cash for every click, cosmetic, and feature. And because Roblox is public, because it's on the S&P 500, because their valuation looks like it's bulletproof, it has a shield. Investors see that growth and they're just going to ignore the rot. Brands are going to line up for sponsorships and in-game ads because that's where the kids are. Regulators are going to hesitate because it's just games, and games still just don't really get treated like serious businesses, even though they're worth more than any other form of media right now. But from my perspective, a shield is not the same thing as a foundation. Roblox's success is built on borrowed time, on an endless supply of unmoderated content, on a user base that is too young to understand what they're buying, and on the hope that nobody in power decides to look too closely. You can run for a while, but I don't think that they're going to be able to run forever. And when it does fall apart, whether it's a flood of lawsuits, a crackdown on copyright infringement, new rules for how a company has to handle its minors, or even just a cultural shift where parents finally start paying attention to what their kids are actually doing, it's going to fall hard and it's going to fall flat, because the only way to be able to make Roblox truly safe, truly legitimate, and truly fair to its users and the industry is to rebuild it from the ground up. And that would mean slowing it down, shrinking it, and sacrificing a lot of things that are very, very profitable for these guys. which is something that they will never choose to do voluntarily, because why would they sacrifice profits? Why would they do anything that crazy when they have so many people invested in them? Why would they do that when they're being labeled as the first successful metaverse? In your eye, Meta. Why would they do it when they have so many parents that are out there that either don't know or don't care about what their kids are getting up to online? They don't know what they're actually engaging with. This platform is so damaging to the future of the industry and also to future generations. I'm going to be straight with you guys. When I logged into it, it was like staring Satan in the face. I'd never seen anything like it. They've normalized everything that shouldn't be normalized. And it's not teaching younger kids how great gaming can be. It's not showing them how or what a high quality gaming experience looks like. And if this success continues, it's only going to teach the industry even worse habits as a result of it, because the rest of the industry is just going to be looking at it and going, well, we have a whole group of mouth breathers about to just walk in the door. They're going to slowly but surely start to turn the industry in that direction as their core audience starts to age out. There needs to be an entire generation of parents starting right now that just throw their kids back into retro gaming. I think that is the best thing that you could possibly do right now. I think one of the reasons why I'm so critical about the games industry or about games in general, and I also think this is probably true for a lot of other people, especially folks that are my age, or like, you know, people in their anywhere between 25 and like 35, or probably even older than that in a lot of cases, is that I grew up on N64 games. I was playing Smash Brothers, Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, Turok. I was playing Dreamcast. I was throwing down on Power Stone or Grandia 2. I had PS2. I was playing Final Fantasy X and a whole slew of other fantastic games. I was around for the Xbox 360 era, and that whole thing was just peak. It was just incredible gaming, high quality experiences, things that you remember, games that were aimed at enjoyment, fun. That was it. That was the only thing that they cared about. Nothing else was a consideration. It was whether or not people were going to enjoy playing this game, not how they were going to monetize it, because that didn't exist at the time. You know, the further we get away from that purity, the more polluted the waters become. And while I still think that there's a lot of those experiences that are out there right now, there's a lot of really good games that are out there. I think there's a lot of developers that are still trying to make games. Obviously, most of those guys are in indie nowadays than anything else. But if there's another generation that's coming up that's not experiencing any of that, well, they're just brainwashed by trash and monetization, and the games industry is going to respond to that by making games specifically for them. I don't understand why games media in general is not waving a red flag on this. I don't understand why game developers aren't waving a red flag on this. You have way too many people that are kind of being a little accelerationist about this, and it's just ruining the enjoyment out of all of it, which just doesn't make any sense to me. Why would you guys want to celebrate something like this? Look at the kind of content that it produces. Look at the kind of monetization it has. Look at the kind of environment it's creating. Why would you want to support something like this? I think the only reason why is that it's largely gone ignored because of the demographic that it's aimed at, and a lot of people aren't going on there, and they're not playing the games. They're not looking at the kind of games that are being made. And because of that, nobody's really been talking about it. I mean, that's how it was for me. I've never come across anything Roblox related until just recently, and that was just because of the controversy. In any other, there would never be another reason why. Because it's kids. So that content is mostly just stuck in their eyes and not ours. I don't know. Pay attention to what your kids are playing. Also, if your kids are like under 12, what are they doing on Discord? But if no, bro, my mom and dad would have like hit me with a telephone across the room if they heard me in a chat room at like 14. Yeah, I don't think I was allowed to even be on a microphone until I was like 15 or 16. Anyway, different era, I guess. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did enjoy the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter. I'll be live today. Thank you guys for watching. Stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe. I'll catch you in the next one.
Family, 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 family.